Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Our moderator will join us very soon. She is having some issues joining, so she'll be with us soon. But for the meantime, I will take you guys through the program outline so that we know what we are in for today. Okay, so we will have our opening prayer by Mr. Solomon Obin in Minerals 2 at 4:55, but it's past 4:55, so we have it very soon. Then we have our welcome address by our organizer, Mr. Barry Basau. Then after that, our speaker will be introduced and she will take over. After that, we have our question and answer session, then a closing remarks by our ex-president, Mr. Wisdom Edina. But before that, I will entreat all of us to mute our microphone. And in the course of the presentation, if you have any question, you can either type it in the comment section. The moderator will read it out to the speaker for her to answer. Or better still, after the presentation, you can raise your hand for you to be called to ask your question. So this is the program outline for today's session. So I think our moderator is in, so I'll hand it over to her. Madam Moderator, you are welcome.
Thank you. Okay, we are all welcome to today's webinar. Okay, my name is Tracy Aston, and I'll be moderating this webinar. So, Mr. Solomon, PM Minerals Engineering student. Mr. Solomon, can you please give us the opening prayer?
Okay, please let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening. We thank you for how far you have brought us. Thank you once again for such a wonderful program. Father, as we are starting this program, we commit this program into your hands. May you take absolute control over the program. Give us understanding. Help us so that we can bring this program to a successful end. This is the minimum we ask in Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
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 Mr. Solomon, thanks for the word of prayer. Okay, next is a welcome address by Mr. Barry Basau, the organizer of the assigned student chapter. Please, let's.
Good evening to you all. Please, can you hear me?
Good evening.
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. A very good evening to you all. It is with a great delight that I welcome you all to the part 3 of the webinar series of the OSIM Takwa student chapter. This chapter expresses its utmost appreciation to each and everyone who contributed his quota in making the previous section a success. The topic of discussion today is dubbed My Career Challenges and Experience. Have you ever wondered how the start of a career journey will be? Through this webinar, we will be enlightened on some potential challenges we will face in our career and how to solve such problems. So dear friends, let us get our notebooks and pens ready for an interactive session with our distinguished speaker. This meeting has the potential to be extremely profitable and beneficial to each and everyone in attendance. So thank you once again, and you are warmly welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Barry, for your welcome address. Okay, so the introduction of the guest. Our speaker today happens to be Takwa student chapter. She's a person Amadiok. She is a geo engineer with Newmont's Galaxy underground operations. She has 1 year experience in surface operations as a mine planning ground ventilation in the work with Orica Explosives in the year 2014. Work with African underground mining Gold Ashanti Pedia Prim mine in the year 2016 and Newmont Ghana Gold in the year 2017. Ladies Faustina Amadiok with us her career experiences and challenges over the years. Miss
Hello. I think there is a problem with the network, but can you hear me?
Yes, please, Miss Faustina.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. As she already talked about, Faustina Amadiok, and now, okay, I'd like to start with my JHS education. So for my JHS education, I had it at St. Dominic Senior High School at a place in the Brahafo region called Domainko. And I had the passion to always take up leadership positions. So I was the head girl for St. Dominic Senior High School from the year 2007 to 2008. From there, I went to St. Monica Senior High School to pursue science education. And then I was part of the Math and Science Club. We used to call it the last squad. And I was always with my books and I was very good with mathematics. So I thought of becoming a mining engineer. So after school, I went to University of Mines. And during my first year, there was this flyer I saw talking about awesome. So I decided to join. And then I applied to Mr. Henry Entry. And I got selected and I got funded to be part of the OSIAM Awesome UMass student chapter. So during my stay or being a member of the OSIAM, I got the time to always chat with Mr. Henry Entry and then always ask him about how he was able to get to that level. So he introduced me to this woman called Miss Victoria Blefoni. I don't know if you guys have heard about her. Recently, she was the vice president for Silver Standards. And this woman took me as the daughter, mentored me, and then advised me to take up leadership positions. So as being part of the OSIMM, I was also part of the Mining Minerals Association. So I became Women's Commissioner for the Mining Minerals Association. And then that was when I was in second year, I became their Women's Commissioner. Then in my third year, I became Awesome Secretary. And then from there, I became Awesome President for my final year. And then during my third year on campus, I wanted to take up a project. I wanted to always help the mine. So I spoke to my boss, that's Mr. Henry Entry. And through his help, I was able to get a link to Anglo Gold Ashanti. And I was tasked to help in their productivity studies. So I took up a project and it was entitled Overall Equipment Effectiveness. I was to make a study into their availability, their utilization, and their productivity. So I had to take cycle times of the trucks, of all the equipment. I was always in the sun. during my study time, sometimes I'll sit in the tracks, go up and down, and then get their productivity studies, get their time, their cycle times. And then after that, I was able to draft a project for them. I remember during my time when I was taking this productivity and then utilization studies, I wasn't getting it. So I used to cry a lot. I remember I'll go to Mr. Bright and then cry to him that I'm not getting this thing right. And Henry was also pushing, you have to get this thing done. So I've always been a go-getter, but I know with determination, you overcome all difficult situations. So I had to stop doing certain stuff that I used to do and then find time for this project work. So with the help of Henry, Mr. Bright and then Victoria Blefon, I was able to finish this project for Anglo Gold Ashanti. And then I had a distinction in this project. And during my stay on campus, I knew I had no link in the mines. So I had to develop a strategy on how to get into the mines. So during my final year, I asked around if anybody could get me attachment in the mines right after school. That was 2017. So that when I'm doing the attachment, through the attachment, I can get the link to stay there for my national service. So I remember I contacted Henry, I contacted Mr. Bright Afum, and then I contacted Victoria Blefoni. Me talking about this is to elaborate on the fact that you need to network when you are on campus. Because me having this network with Henry, with Bright Afum and Victoria Blefoni gave me the opportunity to go and have my attachment in the mines for the year 2017. So during my attachment, I applied to do my national service in the mines. And that time I was having this attachment at Anglo Gold Ashanti. I was having this attachment at Newmont Ghana Gold. That was for mines. And then I remember I applied, and then when the national service list came, I wasn't part. So I had really called Mr. Bright Afum, called Henry, and then Mr. Bright Afum was able to talk to his friend who was at the other side of Newmont Ghana Gold, that is Achim. So his friend was able to link me up, and finally I got placed at Newmont Ghana Gold, Achim Mine. So I went there for my national service, and during my national service time, I still maintained my networking relationship with Henry, Mr. Bright Afum, and Victoria Blefoni. And I remember when Henry came to the Ghana, he came to the mines for a visit. And when he came to the mine for a visit, he was able to talk to some of the managers about me, about how I was able to head the awesome chapter as a female and as a president. He was able to talk about me to them. He commended me to them. And likely for me, after my national service, I got the opportunity to work with Newmont Ghana Gold Action. I had the opportunity to work on contract with them. The contract was 3 months. I had another opportunity to work with them as a graduate training. And around that same time, I had an opportunity to go and work with Newmont Subika. So this is where the God factor comes in. I had 3 opportunities, and it was up to me to pick one. And it was also up to me to know what I really wanted in life, because I can go in for this contract of 3 months and end up being asked to go home after the 3 months, or go for this graduate training and end up going home after this training. So I opted to go to the house, stay in the house, and then wait for Newmont Subika Underground to pick me up as a ventilation engineer. So I started work with Newmont Subika Underground as a ventilation engineer from the year 2018, right after my national service. That was in November. And the unfortunate thing that happened to me was that right after I got employed, my boss, who was supposed to train me as a ventilation engineer, Lukman Alasan, also resigned from the mines and then went to an expert job, had an expert job with Indonesia. So he left. So now I'm a Nino in ventilation. I have no idea. And I've been brought in to head a section. What do I do? Now I had to start reading books, sleepless nights, making sure I abreast myself with everything that I needed to know to help this mine in terms of ventilation. And with constant underground visits, I was able to head the ventilation department from 2018 to 2020 before they got a vent engineer from South Africa to come and head the department. So one thing I will always hit on is determination. Yeah, I was a young girl. I didn't know anything about ventilation, but I got employed as a vent engineer. And a mine employing you, you can't tell the mines you don't know anything. No way. You have to work. And the best thing was for me to learn and also tap some experience from my bosses, Henry and then Bright Afum, Victoria Blefoni. So during my stay in ventilation, I had a little bit of challenges. That is, in terms of human relationship, I had problems with people because you get in the mine as a young girl. You've been tasked to kind of head some people, manage some people, and in terms of human relationship, there will always be frictions. But through the tapping of knowledge from my bosses, I was able to manage my section very well. So recently, that was later 2020, I had to talk with my boss, that's Henry, and then my mentor, Victoria Blefoni, talking to them about how I want to head in terms of career-wise. I wanted to be a vice president in the future. I want to take up that role that my boss, Victoria Blefoni, took. She's been a VP for Silver Standards, and to be a VP, you have to be on the operational side of the mines. You have to know your drill and blast. You have to know your mine planning. You have to know a bit of ventilation. So I had been in ventilation for 2 years, and I think I was okay. I could use the vent sim. I could calculate airflows. I could do everything a vent engineer could do. So why don't I switch to the different side of mining? That is the operation side. And then climb the ladder of fulfilling the dreams of becoming a VP. So there was an advertised role for a drill and blast engineer. I applied, and then I ended up being employed as a drill and blast engineer for Subika Underground. And I've been in charge for drill and blast for about 6 months now. So it hasn't been easy, as I said earlier. There've been a whole lot of challenges, but to overcome these challenges, you first need God. You first need people to help. God will help you, but He'll pass through people to help. And these people are my mentors who have really been there for me. And recently, Henry linked me up to one Australian expert in drill and blast. And this man has also really impacted me. So as students, I would advise you to network and be humble and respect anybody that comes your way, because you might not know who is going to be your help, who is going to pull you into the industry. And then I indulge you all to persevere, okay? And also be determined. There were times people told me I couldn't make it. There were times people told me I can't get into the mines because I didn't have any link in the mines. But I developed a strategy to go ahead of my mate, to go and have an attachment before national service starts. And through this attachment, I was able to stay and have my national service. It's good to have people who are already in the industry to guide you. Because Bright Afum, that time he wasn't in Ghana, but he had friends in the industry who really guided me, who helped in placing me during my national service time. And after getting my national service, I didn't lose contact with him. I still chat with him. I still tap knowledge from him because accounts would say opinion when you know the onobe no akwala fudua kwa yeah, meaning an elderly person. What an elderly person can see, you a young girl, if you climb a tree, you are not going to see it. Afum has been in the industry before, he's been out. Henry has been in the industry for over 30 years. Victoria Blefoni has been in the industry for about almost 30 years. So it's best I joined, or it was best I linked up with them and tap knowledge from them. Even in real life situations, when I meet challenges at the workplace in terms of human relationship, I make sure I call them. I call Henry almost every time. I call Bright Afum almost every time. I call Victoria Blefoni. So I indulge you all to make sure you network very well. And when I talk about networking, not about your friends. No, try and get elderly people who are already in the industry, people who are up there, people that you can look up to, people who can advise you on when and where and what to apply for. Fine, there were a whole lot of opportunities, but it wasn't every opportunity that I took. I remember after my national service at Achim, I had a contract to stay with them as a mine planning engineer for 3 months. I had a contract. I rejected that offer. I had a graduate training offer to be a graduate training. I rejected that offer until I had a permanent job with Subika Underground as a ventilation engineer. And if I didn't have the guidance of my mentors, I would have taken an opportunity which would have ended me being trapped on my ladder up, on climbing my ladder up. So I'll entreat you all that it's not every opportunity that you go in for. Try a network, have a mentor, have someone you look up to, and then when opportunities come, try and talk to the person on which opportunity to take. And then lastly, I would like to talk about trusting in God. It hasn't been easy. God has been part of me throughout these challenges. So try and be prayerful and try to concentrate on your books as well. Thank you very much. And I would like to open up for any questions. If you have any question, you can just send your questions to the moderator and these questions will be read out to me. Hello. Can anybody hear me?
Any questions?
Yes, please. Hello.
Hello.
Please, I have a question.
Oh, okay.
Please, I heard you saying you rejected a graduate trainee as an offer, and I would
Yeah.
like to know if graduate trainee isn't good. That's my question.
Okay. I wouldn't say graduate training isn't good. It is very good, okay? but know what you go in for. I had an offer with Newmont Achim. That time we were starting our graduate training. I had an offer to go in for the graduate training. And that time I was also offered to be a mine planning engineer on a contract. But to me, I wanted to be an underground engineer. I wanted to start my career from underground. So that time, can you please mute your microphone? I had an offer to pursue a graduate training, but I didn't want to start my career on a surface operation. I wanted an underground operation. And during that time, there were a whole lot of opportunities being offered by Newmont. And Newmont was offering an underground opportunity for me to come and be a ventilation engineer. So I went in for that. So fine, you might go in for a surface graduate training because you are interested. But I had the opportunity and offer to go underground. So I chose the underground because I wanted to start my career with underground operation. Already I had gotten a surface experience of 1 year. So talking to my bosses, I saw that, yeah, this is the time I moved to underground. So I rather went in for the underground graduate training program. I was rejected, but later on I had a permanent role of becoming a ventilation engineer for Subika Underground.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any more questions for me?
Hello. Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yeah, please, I have a question. Miss Faustina, please, my question is, you being a female and working in the underground mine, did you face any challenge based on your gender as a female? Did you have any challenge? And if you did, how did you tackle that challenge?
Yeah, for sure. I had a whole lot of opportunities being a female. There were times people thought I couldn't do the ventilation because I was a female. There were times people disrespect you because you are a female, because underground is full of men. But as I said earlier, with determination, you overcome all difficult situations. I was determined to work underground. I was determined to fill that role as a vent engineer. So I ended up talking to this woman, Victoria Blefoni. She worked at Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi during her youthful days. And I think she also faced the same challenges that I was facing. So with her advice and experience in handling certain situations, she impacted me. And with that same knowledge, I was able to overcome certain challenges. And to tell you, you are a female, when you get into the mines, you don't have to play that lady card role, trying to let them know you are a female and that there are certain jobs you can't do. No, work as hard as the men are working. And when you are able to deliver that, you'll be recognized. Because if I went to ventilation to play that lady card, to play that role of saying I'm a lady, I can't go underground, I can't work, I don't think I would be moved to drill and blast. No, I wouldn't have been given that opportunity. So, my dear females, when you get into the mines, avoid playing that lady card and work your ass down, sit down, learn I know it's difficult. There will be sleepless nights, you trying to tap knowledge from the internet and from your bosses. It's not easy, but work as hard as you can. And when there is any opportunity, I think your own male colleagues will commend you or will recommend you to others who will end up giving you opportunities. Thank you. Any question for me?
I think someone has posted a question, so the moderator should read it out. Yeah, okay. So this question is from Solomon, and he's asking, suppose you are a minerals engineer and the person you know in the industry is a mining engineer. Can you still have a network with such person?
Why not? You have to have a network with that person. When the opportunity comes to network, my dear, grab it. Because I know minerals engineers who are working as mining engineers. I know minerals engineers who have had their masters in mining engineering and are working on the operation side. So it's good you network with anybody that comes your way, because you might not know who is going to help you. I remember the first time I had an opportunity to network with Henry. I didn't know he was even a big guy in the mines. I didn't know, but he ended up helping me. Mr. Brighterfum was a lecturer on campus. He wasn't working in the mines, but through him, he was able to introduce me to his friends who were able to help me. So my dear, when the opportunity comes, grab it, because you might not know who will help you.
There is another question. I think our moderator is having some technical issues. So the next question is, please, you said you have to stop some things in order to focus for projects on track productivity. Please, can you tell us some of them?
Okay. I wouldn't condemn a relationship on campus. I wouldn't condemn having fun on campus. And I wouldn't condemn you going to the house during your vacations, no. But during my time on campus, during my productivity studies third year, after my first semester, that was Christmas time. I didn't go home. I was on campus because I was having this project with Anglo Gold. So I had to stay on campus and finish up this project. And even when school reopened, I remember I used to go for lectures and then run after lectures to sites to collect data. And these are all situations I kept myself in just to squeeze time to finish this project. I could have gone home to enjoy Christmas with my family, but I stayed on campus. So there were opportunities I deprived myself, maybe having fun with my friends, going to sit somewhere, gossip with other ladies, try and travel, have fun, go to Takrade, because Takwa is closer to Takrade, but I deprived myself of all these campus enjoyment, and then I focused on my project. So fine, I wouldn't tell you to stop having fun on campus, but when you have something you are doing like a project, I would advise you burn the midnight candle. You deprive yourself of certain stuff, squeeze and make time for yourself. And I think when you are able to finish this project, something good might come out of it. Because I ended up with a distinction with this project that I was doing, and I had the opportunity to come and present at Accra Mining Network. And during my time to present at Accra Mining Network, I ended up making friends with a whole lot of people who helped me in this industry. Mining is all about networking. The people you meet the people you meet in the mines, they all came to University of Mines and Technology. Most of them came to UMAT. So when you get the time to link up with one person, that person ends up linking you to a whole lot of people who ends up helping you in the industry. So when you have the opportunity to do a project, please do it well and deny yourself of certain privileges you could have enjoyed whilst on campus. And I know at the end, it's going to pay well for you.
Thank you, Miss Faustina. Okay, so someone has a suggestion. Could you please show us your face so that you could network with you when we see you in industry?
Oh, my face is on the flyer, and you can get my number from the secretary, so we can chat after this meeting.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Please, any more questions? Any more
Yes,
questions?
yes, please. I have a question.
Yes, yes, I have a question.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, I cannot hear you. Couldn't hear you at first.
Yes, my name is James.
Okay.
Yes, Miss Faustina, during your presentation, you made clear that you had, after national service, had a couple of opportunities to stay at the Achim mine, but yes, still, you waited and the better opportunity came up for the Subika mine, that's Ahafo.
Yeah.
My question is, during those times, how did you know an opportunity will come? Because it's highly possible that, yes, of course, someone might also say that I have this opportunity to do GT, I have this opportunity for a 3-month contract, but I'm still waiting for a better opportunity. I guess all these 3 opportunities didn't come simultaneously. So from your point of view, how did you know that a better opportunity could come? Was it based on your instinct, or the time period for you to accept and reject the offers were that long and the better opportunity came and decided to go in for a better opportunity?
Oh no, I had already gone in for an interview for an underground graduate training, and I got evicted out. That was 6 months after my 6 months during my national service. 6 months during my national service, I went for an interview and I got rejected because I was not done with my national service. And 8 months during my national service, an advert came out from Subika Underground advertising for the need of a ventilation engineer. During that same time, another offer came from Newmont. Actually, I'm looking for graduate training. Please, can you mute your microphone for me? So that means I had 2 offers. I applied for the ventilation engineer role from Subika Underground, which was a permanent role. And then that time, my chief engineer had also told me that they are planning on giving me a 3-month contract to stay with them. And if possible, a permanent role after that. That was the second time me applying to Subika Underground. First one, I was rejected. So second one, I mustered up the courage to go and perform. Because the first one, during the graduate training, we wrote an exams. It was purely mathematics, and I ended up topping that exams. And later on, I heard that I've been rejected because I wasn't done with my national service. And then another advert came in for a ventilation engineering role. And I had also told myself I wanted to start my career with an underground operations because I already have surface operations as a mine planning engineer. So I wanted to explore and go underground. And the contract came, either you pick the contract, and when you pick the contract, it's a contract you signed. You can't leave the contract and go. No, it's not done anyway. And then the graduate training was also another contract. When you sign that contract, you can't stop the graduate training and go in for another permanent role. So it was up to me to swallow the bitter pill. Either I reject the contracts, wait for Subika Underground's interview, go and perform, or I pick these contracts being offered to me by Action and stick to it. So it wasn't an easy task. I spoke to Henry. I remember I spoke to Afum. I spoke to Victoria. They were like, it's up to me. Whatever I want to do, they are behind me. So I should do whatever I want to do. So I ended up rejecting these 2 opportunities with the hope of being picked by Subika. Fine. If Subika had rejected me, I might be in the house looking for other opportunities. But I knew what I wanted, because I didn't want to start with surface operations. And these surface operations too were offering me contracts that when I sign, meaning there is no way I can go in for my dream of becoming an underground engineer when the opportunity comes. So I had to reject all these offers and then wait for Subika to interview me. So, Mr. James, I hope I have answered your question.
That's on point. Nice presentation.
Thank you. Please, any more questions for me?
Yes, please, there are more questions. The next question the next question is, please, do you have to get first class before you get a job?
No, please. I wasn't a first class student. I was a second class upper, but I had a dream and I had strategies and I had people to guide me. Yes, I didn't have any link. I was just a second class student who had undertaken a project for Anglo Gold Ashanti. But I told myself I'll work in the mines, and I sat down and talked to myself that why don't I take this attachment, take the lead into the mines before my other mates come? Because by the time they come, I might have worked very hard to the extent that I might have gotten the favor of my bosses, and they will end up placing me in the mines before them. So I spoke to Brighter Fum, and then he helped me. So you don't have to be a first class student to get employment in the mines. No, it's up to you to develop your own strategies, try and network with your lecturers. You have to respect them, because I remember I respected Afum a lot. He wasn't working in the mines, but I took him as an elderly brother who used to advise me. Because if I ever disrespected him, I don't think I would have, or I might have gotten this opportunity. So it doesn't mean you should be a first class student. No, you could be a lower, you could be an upper, but know how to network, respect your teachers on campus, and also pray as well. Thank you.
Thanks for the answer, Miss Faustina. Please, any more questions?
Yes, I think there are still questions in the comments box. One from Solomon and others.
Okay, so there's a question by Solomon. Please, Miss Faustina, how did you handle bad issues, especially attached to your career?
Yeah. With bad issues, it's going to come when you start working in the mines. Even people perception about you, okay? People just seeing you for no reason. People can just hate you for no reason. But one thing that I learned from Victoria Blefoni was to avoid negative energy. Sometimes it's painful. You hear certain stuff about you. Just avoid it, and rather talk to God, not your. Just avoid negative energy. I remember there were times people were trying to associate my gender with the reasons why I ended up getting a job. I never replied or I never spoke about it. I just worked very hard. I made sure I handled my section very well to the extent that I acted as event manager or event managers for a whole year without any issue. We were able to exempt all our headings, had our main com certifications right, and those who even criticized me ended up liking me. So I'll just advise you to avoid negative energy and always focus on whatever you plan on doing. Make sure you deliver when given the opportunity. And then talk to people who are already in the industry. Make sure you link up with these people because they've gone through what you are going through, and they will always have an answer to you. I remember I spoke to Bright Afum, and he used to tell me the challenges he faced when he was at Chirano Mines. He had a whole lot of challenges with his bosses, but he was able to overcome most of them by avoiding negative energy. So always focus on the task given to you. And I know when you are able to deliver, those who even criticize you will end up liking you at the later round and might even recommend you for future roles. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for sharing with us your knowledge. Next question by Timothy Annan. How should someone with interest in industry and academia go about this?
The person wants to pursue the academia ladder and wants to pursue the industry ladder or what? I don't get his question.
Yes, please.
Both.
Yes, please.
Then I think the best person to answer this question will be Afum, because he has been in the industry and he left to work. But I think it would be best to get into the industry, get your understanding on the practical side of mining, know how the equipment operates, and after that, pursue the academia ladder. Maybe go outside, have your master's PhD, and then come back and teach. With that, I think you have the practical understanding of mining, and also you have the academic understanding of mining.
Okay, thank you. Next question by Solomon Answer. Please, it seems you were specifically oriented to the industry. Please, do you have any reason for that?
Oh, as I said earlier, I wanted to be in the mines. I knew what I wanted right from school. I remember my time, they were looking for teaching assistants. I wasn't interested because I had been into the mines and I had offered productivity studies for Anglo Gold Ashanti. I had the passion for mining. So I started building myself right from campus, okay, trying to seek for knowledge, trying to seek for understanding of how the industry is. So if you have the passion to be in the industry, right from campus, start something. Your project work, you can go to GMC, you can go to Goldfields. Just start something right on campus and then develop a strategy. Yeah, Henry didn't tell me, Faustina, go to Newmont for an attachment right after school. No, I saw that if I don't take the lead because I didn't have any link in the industry, I might end up staying in the house. So I spoke to my lecturer and I applied for an attachment and I was picked. And I ended up in the industry. So it's not that I was picked right from campus to come and work in the mines. No. I knew what I wanted and then I developed a strategy for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Faustina. Okay, the next question was by Michelle Otreda. Please, Ms. Faustina, how did you achieve all this goal? And also, how did you blend the industry with your social life?
Oh, for my social life, I'm lacking in terms of my social life. That is what I said. I have okay, everyone has his or her positive and the negative sides. I have my negative sides in terms of my social life because I was always into books. I was always into working in the mines. I didn't socialize well with my mates. I wish I had time for some of my classmates. No, I was always into books. Even right from St. Monica's, we were being trained to partake in the science and maths club. So we were always learning, moving. And I remember they even gave me a name, Amawasi, because I was that kind of brilliant. And my social relationship wasn't good. Even on campus, I was always into learning, trying to partake projects. But I wish I had worked more on my social life. So life is a learning curve. As you go, you look at certain things and then you try correcting them. Fine. I'm lacking in terms of my social life, but I'll just advise you to try and make friends with your mates when the opportunity comes, and also work on yourself and know what you want. I wanted to be in the industry, so I left my social life aside and I just concentrated on being in the mines. And I think for now, I can blend my social life with my work life because I'm a little bit matured. I'm a little bit older in the industry, so I can blend it. But at the beginning, I don't think I could have. So mine was to get into the industry and work very hard. So I left certain parts of my social life unattended to, and I concentrated on my work. I hope I've answered your question very well.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Okay, next question is by Baden. Please, how were you dealing with sexual harassment in a man-dominated company since you were a lady?
Oh, for me, when you are a lady and you get no proposals, that means you are not a lady. Because when you get to certain stages of your life, men have to propose to you. But you have to know how to handle it. Always, I tell women, you shouldn't get angry when a man proposes to you. When a man proposes to you, it's an opportunity for you to make friends with that person. It might be last, the person just want to sleep with you, but it doesn't mean you should go around telling people this person has proposed to me. No. When the last goes, you end up becoming friends with the person, and it's up to you. You should have a goal of not sleeping with any man that comes your way. You should have a goal of knowing whatever you want in the mind. Yeah, the mind is a male-dominated place. Men will always propose, but it's up to you, okay? You can end up becoming friends with these people without doing anything with them. But when they come proposing to you and you try shouting at them, you try telling everybody this man has proposed to me, you might end up digging your own grave. So as a lady, you should know how to handle these things. When a man proposes, so far as the person is not harassing you, you could just avoid these guys and then concentrate on your work. And you could end up being friends with them. Because men will always propose, men will always want to sleep with you, so far as you are the only lady in their mind. But you should know how to handle them when the proposal comes. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the next question by the president of OSDIME. Please, aside from mining, do you intend on diversifying in a course of your career journey?
Aside mining,
Do you intend on diversifying?
not really for now. I have the passion for mining, and I really want to go up to the level of being a vice president. So for now, I'm just focused on mining. But I don't know what fate holds. I don't know what destiny holds. Anything can happen. Tomorrow is never promised. But for now, I have my focus on mining. Thank you.
Okay, next question by Michelle. Did you ever have any feeling of regret when you went into the industry?
Not really, but they were sad. There were times I felt very sad. I felt very down when I was in ventilation. I always wanted to be on the operation side, and ventilation was purely air. You calculate airflows going underground, and checking of the quantity of the air underground. And with ventilation, you are supposed to be underground almost every day, every time. I wasn't happy when doing that because my passion wasn't in it. So there were times I really felt bad, but I never had a regret of being in ventilation because I wanted to use ventilation as a stepping tool to get to other levels. So from ventilation, I moved to drill and blast. So fine, there have been times that I really felt very bad. I felt I was stuck at where I was. But as I told you, you have to network, because in times like this, these are the times your mentors come in to encourage you, to strengthen you. These are times that you have to look for help. Because during those times, I remember talking to Afumi about opportunities in Canada because I wanted to leave and go and explore the operation side of mining in Canada, if not given the opportunity in Ghana. So I'll always advise you as students, please try and network. Get someone in the mind who will mentor you, who will coach you. Because in times like this, they are the people with the experience who can guide you. You might end up taking foolish or taking decisions that might not help you when you are down. So I'll indulge you all to try and get someone whom you look up to when situations become hard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Faustina. This is the end of the questions.
Thank you.
This is the end of the questions. Thank you for your insights about your career.
Madam
Thank you
Moderator,
very
please, more
much.
questions are there. Hello, Madam Moderator.
Yes, please.
Yes, please, more questions are there.
Okay, the person just wrote it. Okay, next question. Could you please share with us the mistakes you made when you went to the mines?
Okay. The mistakes I made, I wouldn't call them mistakes, but I will call them opportunities that came my way for me to learn. There were times I didn't have anybody to teach me. Yeah, I didn't have anybody to teach me because I remember I told you when I got to the mines, just 1 month after my boss resigned. And right after school, you've been employed as a ventilation engineer. Your boss has resigned. What do? Do you resign, or you end up crying, telling everybody you don't know ventilation, or what do you do? So these were hard times for me. I had also rejected an offer by Achim. So will I call it a mistake or what? I was like, why did I reject an offer and then come to Subika and end up having no one to teach me? Did I make a mistake? Or so it was as I said, it was an opportunity for me to push myself up. I had to learn, I had to read books, I had to contact people I remember I had to contact Mr. Edue Champon, who was a ventilation director for Denver, USA, one of our mines. I had to contact him, and this man had to teach me in the night because our time zone wasn't the same as theirs. So in the night, instead of me sleeping, I had to wake up, make calls to Mr. Edue Champon for him to teach me what ventilation is in the night, for me to go to work during daytime and apply all these stuffs. It wasn't easy for me. I thought I had made a mistake rejecting an offer by Achim, but it was just an opportunity for me to learn. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is, how did you balance your career with your family life?
Oh, my family life, I had been in the university, you are seen as an adult. Fine, I didn't go home. I used not to go home for Christmas. I used to be a wayward girl. I was always in the mines, not socializing. People will go for beach parties and other stuffs. I'll just be there trying to finish my project work right after school. I didn't go home. I went into the mines to offer an attachment. Right after attachment, I didn't go home. I stayed. So I was lacking in terms of my family life. I had not seen my family for like 3 years, but I was talking to them on phone. So I was just okay with it. I wasn't brought up as a mommy's or daddy's girl, so I wasn't perturbed at all. I was okay, provided I was talking to them on phone. I was okay. Thank you.
Okay, so this question is, mining is joy. How true is it? Because it takes all your time.
That slogan, I don't know whether it was talking about mining in terms of money, or it was talking about mining in terms of someone's passion. But if you have the passion for mining, it is really joy. For now, as a drill and blast engineer, I go to work early morning. I leave my house around 3:30 a.m. I start work around 6 a.m. and all that I hear is charge plans, firing plans. Every minute they need charge plans to go and charge. Every minute they need firing plans to come and fire. Like, I don't have time for even my phone at the workplace. I don't have time for my phone. I only have time for my phone during lunch time. And imagine if I'm to be in a relationship, my boyfriend will surely want to hear from me in the morning and in the afternoon. And looking at this, I don't even have time for my phone. So fine, if you have the passion for mining, it's purely joy because you are being occupied. Every minute you have to do something. Every minute you are going underground. And what really makes mining joy for me is for me to design a firing plan and for me to go underground and to see the muck being blasted and being fragmented in the way I wanted it to be. I really find joy in that. Okay. And at the end of the month, your money comes fine. It's better than most of the civil servants pay in Ghana. It's better. So you find joy in it. But someone who also finds joy in his or her relationship will also say, no, mining isn't joy because he or she doesn't have time for his boyfriend or for his family. So that slogan, I think it depends on you as an individual. Fine. I find joy in mining, like my passion, designing something and going underground and seeing it being done in the right way. I really find passion and joy in it. And also at the end of the month, having my money in my pocket, I really find joy in it. But someone will also say, no, mining isn't joy because it takes all my time. As a young girl, I'm supposed to have time for myself. I wake up around 3:30 a.m. and I get home around 8 p.m. I don't have any time for myself. So mining isn't joy. So for me, I think it's individual. For me, I'm happy with mining, but someone might also say, no, this isn't what I want. So mining isn't joy. Thank you. Please, are we done with the questions? Madam Moderator, please, are we done with the questions?
Please, there are more questions. And someone is asking from Ellen Asian, please, would you say that the mining industry is a stressful one as compared to other career industries?
Yeah, to me, it's quite stressful, but if you have the passion for it, I don't think you call it stressful. There were surgeons who will stand up and perform surgeries for like 8 hours, 10 hours. And since they have the passion for being surgeons, they don't call it stressful. So it all depends on you. If you have the passion for it, you wouldn't term it as stressful because at the end of the month, you'll be paid for your services. So it takes a whole lot of your time. But if you really love what you are doing, I don't think you term it as stressful. Thank you.
And the next question is, please, how would one get the Minecom certificate?
Oh, okay. For the Maincom certification, I have my blasting certification. I'm yet to go in for my mine rescue and going for my shift boss. Your company will register you for the Maincom certification because it's part of the regulations for the mines to register you. If not, as a student, right after your national service, you can as well join any legal institution, take books and learn, and go to the MINCOM certification office and write the exams for your mine certifications. I didn't talk about that, but I think it is one of the smartest way to become a boss or a manager in the mines. You need your certifications to get to certain positions. So in developing or in drawing your strategies, you can add that as well. Strive and forge very hard to get all your certifications, because you can't become a mine manager without your mine manager ticket or certification. So it's a strategy I am also picking up to make sure I get all my MINCOM certifications by the age of 40. Because at 40 years, when you have all your MINCOM certifications, that means automatically you can become a mine manager. When a mine advertises for a mine manager, you can become a mine manager. So as students, you have the capacity to learn, you have the capacity to read. I think this is the opportunity for you to try and get certain MINCOM books, try and read about it. And right after your national service, you go in for your blasting certification, go in for your, is it shift boss, or after that, try and go in for your superintendent, and then try and go in for your mine manager tickets. For now, if you aren't employed, you can join any legal institution. Just pay on yourself and go to any MINCOM office and take your certification. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Please, aside from software learning, which we know is essential in the industry, what other gifts gave you upper hand over your colleagues in the industry?
For me, I would say the God factor and networking, because I went in for a graduate training role with my mates, and they ended up writing a letter telling the GM I was still doing my national service, so I was evicted. And that time they were employed for the graduate training role, I was still doing my national service, and they ended up advertising for a permanent role, which I applied and had it. So that means if I'd gone in for the graduate training role, I would have been a graduate trainee for 3 good years of my lifetime. But they ended up rejecting me, and I had a permanent offer. And that was the doing of God. It wasn't me, it wasn't any human being. And secondly, having people to talk to when I'm down. I remember when I got evicted from this graduate training role, I was down because I didn't know Achim that time. Achim had not applied. Achim had not assured me of giving me any permanent role. That time there was no graduate training for me at Achim. I thought everything was lost, but I had shoulders to cry on. I had people to talk to. I remember I spoke to Afum, and Afum told me during his time he had to climb Achia mountains to go and pray. So he's also telling me to pick my things and go to Achia and pray. I remember I ended up being there praying, and when I climbed down, I got employed as a permanent employee. So fine, some of you might not believe in God, you might have other things you believe in, but I'm telling you, try and have someone whom you will talk to in times of difficult situations. Because Afum gave me his experience, gave me what he went through, and I took that same approach, and I ended up getting a permanent role. So fine, you might not believe in God, you might have your other source of, you might have other religion that you believe in, but try and have someone to talk to. Someone's experience might help you in overcoming a situation which you find yourself in today. Afum was in that same situation, and he gave me a remedy, an answer to my solution, which I followed. And then try and also have someone behind you whom you try to pull along whilst you climb up the ladder. Because as you go up, one day you might need someone behind you to help you. As I am climbing up, I try to have students whom I also mentor and coach in times of difficult situations. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is by Samuel Anane. Please, what are some opportunities for metallurgical engineers in their mines?
Oh, there are a whole lot of opportunities coming up in terms of Newmont's operations. I know recently last 3 days, a mail was sent that we've gained full funding for the for North project to start. We are starting a new mines in Yamfo. And recently they advertised for graduate trainees. They needed graduate trainees for metallurgical, to occupy metallurgical engineering roles. So you could apply for this. And also you can also explore other mining opportunities. I know you did a whole lot of courses in mining. The fact that you are a metallurgical engineer doesn't mean you should be stuck with metallurgy. You should be determined, okay, to pursue other opportunities. You should be determined to, you are a metallurgical engineer, but you should be determined to go into the operation side if you have the passion for it. I know a metallurgical engineer who is working as a mining engineer at Rockshore. The person was given an opportunity. So try as much as possible to forge yourself forward, push yourself up. No human being will come and then hold your hands and take you to the mind that this is an opportunity, take it. No, you have to go online, search for opportunities, search for graduate trainee roles, search for jobs, look for loopholes and try to fill them. And in filling these loopholes, people might end up seeing you and then recommending you to other people. Recently on the UMAT official Alumat page, I saw a minerals engineer always writing up stories about findings in mining, okay? He always writes these stories and posts them on the Alumat page. And I know he's being recognized by these managers in the mines. I told you, mining is a very small community. And he's being recognized. He's a mineral engineer, but if he can deliver in terms of mining, he might end up employing for a mining role. So my dear, don't restrict yourself. Don't tell yourself you are a minerals engineer, so you can't do what a mining engineer can do. No way. I was a Nino. I didn't know anything in ventilation, but I learned and went for the interview. That interview, there was a white man who was an OSIM member. He was an awesome member in Australia. He was the chief engineer for Subika Underground. And because I was an awesome president, this man saw that, yeah, if you are an awesome president and I'm an awesome member in Australia, that means this girl can really do the ventilation job, even though she has no opportunity, she has no experience. I'm going to employ her. And I ended up getting a permanent role, which my mates that time were even doing graduate trainings or were even in the house. So don't restrict yourself. Try and push yourself up. Try and forge yourself up. Look for opportunities and apply. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please, the next question is by Blessed Mary. Please, do you have any day for rest? A day you're not supposed to go to work because leaving home early and arriving too late is stressful.
Yeah, I have off days, and during my off days, I mostly rest or I go to church. So I have off days because of the COVID. I work for 7 days and go off for 7 good days. So during my 7 days on site, it's stressful. Yeah, waking up around 3:30 a.m. and coming back around 8 p.m. isn't easy, but I have rest days. I have 7 days as my rest days. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Please, as a safety and environmental engineer, what are the opportunities associated with the mines?
Oh, for a safety engineer, there are a whole lot of opportunities. You can become a safety rep for the underground operations. You can become a safety rep for surface operations. There are a whole lot of opportunities. And you can also end up doing your master's in mining and then switching into the mining operations. There is this man whom I really look up to, and that man really helped me in the industry. I don't know if you've heard about him. He's called Mr. Samuel Atosam. And reading stories about that man was a geomatics engineer. And I remember, I know he went to Kane University with my brother. That man was a geomatics.
Isaac Atisam.
Hey, you are here. Wow. That man was a geomatics engineer. But that man, I went to Anglo Gold Ashanti and saw him operating almost all the softwares. I used to go and sit by that man and just look at him, pick some inspiration from the way he works. That man ended up having his master's in mining engineer, and I heard he has picked up a managerial role in Canada. So don't limit yourself wherever you find yourself. Don't say you are a safety rep, you are a geomatics engineer, you are a minerals engineer, so you can't make it. No, try and forge forward, try and push yourself forward. If you have the opportunity to have your master's in mining, do it and do it well. And if you are granted the opportunity in the mines, work and work very hard. And you might end up being a manager who might employ me one day. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, what is the role of a metallurgical engineer in the mines?
Oh, for a metallurgical engineer, I know you are into processing of the blasted rock and then adding chemicals in bringing out the gold out of it. So for me, that is what I know about metallurgy. I know they end up crushing the rock and then bringing the gold out of it. So I've not been to the gold room. I've not been to the metallurgical office. I don't really know what goes in there. But from the mining side, what I see is that we blast the rock and take it to the crusher, and then they will end up processing the gold out of it. Thank you.
Okay. The next question is there anything for electrical engineers in the mines?
Yeah, we have electrical engineers here who end up operating we have fridge plants underground. We push cold air down there because temperatures down there mostly it gets above 32.5 degrees. And when you have underground temperatures of 32.5 degrees, that means people will definitely get heat stroke and heat stress. So we have fridge plants here which push and pumps cold air underground. So we have electrical engineers operating that part of the mine. We also have the crusher which uses electrical energy, and we have electrical engineers maintaining that site. We also have the maintenance section, and at the maintenance section, they use electricity and other stuffs in mending equipment, and we have electrical engineers also working on that side. And then you shouldn't say you are an electrical engineer, so you can't work in the mines. No, there are a whole lot of opportunities in the mines for electrical students. I've even seen a lady who was an electrical engineer being rewarded as the best female mining engineers by Chamber of Mines in the industry. So you shouldn't think you are an electrical engineer so you don't have an opportunity in the mines. No way. So far as you've been to the university, you are a graduate and you've been trained for 4 years, you can come into the industry and give out your best.
Actually, we can't run a mine without electrical engineers. It's not done, we can't. So electrical engineers are very, very pivotal to the running of day-to-day, mining. So they are very, very important, key people.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to introduce our awesome founder of the Takwa Student Chapter. He's in the person of Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry, please, you are warmly welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, boss,
Yes,
we can hear you.
please.
Okay, all right. Faustina, thank you very much, but you left out some of the bad stuff, and I'll bring them out. Faustina has gone through a lot of challenges. I started knowing her, I think, from first or second year. And I know her in those days to be very, very soft. And I used to tell her, you cannot take this to the mining industry if you are afraid to step on toes. In those days, Faustina hears that somebody has said something little about her, then she jumps. Oh, what is this? And so on. She was very, very, very soft. So it took, and that's why I linked her up with Victoria. Victoria was the first female mining engineer to graduate at UMAT. And she had gone through a lot of challenges working in Ghana, some African countries, and then ended up in Canada. So it was becoming too much for me because Faustina at that stage was very emotional about things, little things. She gets very emotional. So then Victoria took that challenge and started grooming her up. Now, I take very good joy in hearing her talk about her story because it's been very, very challenging. I remember when she didn't get the Alzheimer's scholarship, she cried for about 3 days. She locked up her room because she thought she's put in so much effort. She locked up her room and cried for 3 days. And I said, it's good for you to get it out so that when you go into the industry, you don't think it's easy. And then when it came to her strategy on getting links to the mines, I think I've been preaching this a lot, that if you do your project work that is a problem solving for a mine or related to the mine where you can gather data and so on, it gives you an advantage. And I remember going through Isaac's exam in those days to help her get access to Anglo Gold Ashanti to do this project. In fact, the topic came from me. The challenge was getting a professor or a lecturer who was up to speed because it's very practical and so on. So fortunately, we had, I think it's Professor Timming. So I was a co-supervisor, helping her on the practical side. And then Professor Timming was helping her on the theoretical side. And people like Mary Apianim and Isaac Sam and all those people. And I recall in those days, some of the data looked very bad on the mine. And then she was so scared going to present this, said, oh, they're going to crucify me. And I threatened her, if you take it out, I'll make sure you fail. Because this is what the result says. And you cannot just make results to make Mr. Isaac Sam happy that the mine is going all well. They want to hear the bad news as well. So it wasn't, in the end, she had a distinction, thanks to Isaac and other colleagues who supervised her. Now, Western Australia has a similar system where the mines go to the universities and actually tell them their issues and problems. The universities then appoint students, and the student will have a combined supervision of industry people and then also academia. So by the time he or she goes through this process, he would have learned a lot. And I've been encouraging, in fact, I will talk more about that at KNUST, encouraging universities to adopt that approach and have a very good link with the industry so that it exposes students to some of these challenges. Now, somebody made mention of MINCOM certification, and I want to make a correction. It's not always that you have to wait for the mine to sponsor you. Now, those of you, I think MTG has been sponsoring your Zoom. They have a subsidiary company called MEST, Mining Mechanical Engineering Skill Screening or something. And they have accreditation from MINCOM. So you as an individual working in the mine, you don't have to wait to be nominated to be a shift boss. You can go and register there. They will take your credentials and then pass it through Minerals Commission. Minerals Commission will then come back and say, yes, you have the qualifications to do your shift boss. And then you go to classes there, they will train you, give you past questions, and then if you pass, you have your shift boss certificate. It doesn't mean that the company will appoint you as a shift boss, but it gives you the advantage when the opportunities come. Same thing with blasting and so on. So provided you have some basic training in the area, you can apply, and I'm encouraging if Bright is around some of the lecturers to get those certification because it helps with the research and recognition from industry as well. I also want to correct something that she said, that she wants to be a vice president. That's good. But you cannot be a drill and blast engineer and ventilation engineer and a planning engineer to become a vice president of a mine. You need, these days, you need other skills. You need commercial skills. As exam will tell you. You need mineral economics. Sometimes you need an MBA, business studies, and so on. If you look at Victoria, she went to Scotland to do mineral law. She never practiced the mineral law. Her intention was to come to Minerals Commission. She was offered a job, but I think the salary was too small or something happened and she didn't take it. So even though she has not practiced, she has the knowledge and she should use it somehow in her career. And she also has been she's been a mine manager and so on. So she's got a lot of management skills and so on. So when we talk about diversification, it doesn't mean that you have to leave the mining industry. You still need to diversify into certain areas of expertise. I've been pushing Dr. Afum, go and get some expertise in mineral economics. And we are working on a project. He did a financial model. And I was so impressed that a mining engineer could do such a financial model. So that's what we call diversification. It doesn't mean you leave the industry, but you sharpen up certain areas that are lacking in your technical qualification. And I'm glad UMatt is now offering a course called project management or something where they teach you through the management of projects and so on. The other point I want to discuss is metallurgy. Somebody was saying, what are the opportunities in metallurgy? And Faustina made a very good point that you don't only have to work in metallurgy. Now I know of a mineral processing engineer. She was actually an Alzheimer's president, who is a mineral processing engineer and working in geology. The last time I talked to her, she is working on tenements for one of these junior mining companies because she couldn't get a job as a metallurgist or a mineral processing engineer. And because she has the knowledge, when you are doing these courses, they introduce you to survey, they introduce you to geology. Even though you might not be a geologist, you understand some basics and all that and so on. So don't limit yourself. Now, this afternoon, I'm currently in Obuasi doing some small work before I head to Kumasi. And then I went to have lunch, and then that's who I saw. I saw somebody, and he looked at me. I was wearing my Cambon School of Mines T-shirt. He looked at me and he said, "Henry." And then I looked at his face. I couldn't recall him. He's the executive director for Rockshore. He was the ex-managing director for Obuasi before he moved to Rockshore. Then we had a discussion on graduate training and how to get you guys on board in these UMA and other areas and so on. So this is all networking, right? I didn't realize that he was even staying in the same hotel that I was. I remember when I checked in, they said, "Oh, your favorite room has been taken." And I realized he had taken my favorite room, so it became a conversation. Next time you come, don't take my room, check whether I'm coming or not, and so on. And we all laughed and so on. Electrical, mechanical, those areas, all very well needed in the mines. So those of you doing mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, the advantage for those of you doing those type of courses is that you are not limited to the mining industry. Unlike a mining engineer, where your limitation, even though you can work in other areas. I told you at my last lecture at UMatt that about 80% of my colleagues ended up in non-mining areas, banks and so on. Once you're an engineer, you have the flexibility to move around. Ghana, you don't have many opportunities, but especially in the UK, it doesn't matter which qualification you have. You can apply for any role, whether it's a bank or railway or whatever and so on. So they are very much needed, especially the startup operations. I was at a junior company called Golden Stone recently. It's a startup operations, and I saw some of the UMatt geologists. I don't know them. They came to me, "Oh, Mr. Henry," I said, "What are you doing here?" "I've been employed." "How did you get the employment?" "Because I've never heard of this company." Then they told me all their challenges, like Faustina is saying, and so on. So those of you doing materials, electrical, mechanical, don't limit yourself to the mining industry. The mining industry is good. They pay comparatively, they pay better than other sectors. But if you don't get in, don't get so disappointed. Now, unfortunately for Ghana, there's oversupply in the market. Now, if you go to Australia and other places, in those days, we were struggling. To get a mining engineer at a place like Kalgoorlie and Newman and so on was a challenge. And so we lobbied the Australian government to issue 457 visas, what we call 457 visas, to allow us to go overseas and employ. Now, because I'm a typical example, when I was transferred from the United States to Australia, they made me a permanent resident, and I think it was a mistake. Because as soon as I got to Australia as a permanent resident, I could switch jobs just like that. So another company approaches me and I switch. And then BHP regretted, so they stopped it. I said, oh, we're not going to bring people from overseas and make them permanent residents. Because in those days, 2 years after permanent residence, you become a citizen. So if I'm a citizen, you cannot restrict me. So this time, what we did is we went to the Australian government. OZIBM was involved, other lobbying groups were involved. And then we said, we are short of plumbers, we are short of electricians, we are short of carpenters, we are short of this, that, mining engineers, and so on. We want specialized visas that will force the employee to work in our industry. So if BHP sponsors you, you cannot switch to Rio Tinto. You cannot switch to another company unless you resign and leave the country before you can come back. And I remember a Zambian guy who didn't know the law, metallurgist, worked with a company, another company offered him 20,000 more on his salary, and he switched. He didn't check. So he resigned, he switched, and then he realized immigration was giving him problems. They deported him. So you cannot be greedy in certain instances and just move around and so on. Now we are going through this COVID challenges, and it's created a whole lot of opportunities for mathematicians and computer scientists in coming up with these artificial intelligence, automation, and all that and so on. So a whole lot of, when a challenge comes, opportunity comes. Faustina was talking about her challenges and how she got the opportunities. And I remember those days, she didn't make it sound like it was stressful, but it was really, really stressful. And I remember taking her through all these counseling sessions and all that. So imagine you have 3 opportunities and you don't know. Now we'll have to weigh the pros and cons. If you take a 3-month contract, there is a possibility that it could be extended. And the mine manager is a very close friend of mine, and I could bully him and extend it. But I can't give her the guarantee that it will be extended. So I have to play safe. And then a graduate program is 3 years. It's a graduate program. After the 3 years, there is no guarantee that you even progress. It gives you stability for 3 years, but going forward, you don't know. And then there was this permanent offer. So we had to go through a pros and cons analysis, assess it, and so on. Now, Faustina became very aggressive, right? You are doing national service. You don't qualify to be a graduate program. Aggressiveness, sometimes it's good, so sometimes it's bad. She went in and applied for the graduate program because she's so smart. And because she's done all this practical work at Idwe and Newmont and all that, she was one of the best. In fact, I talked to some of the panelists. She said, no, we have to take her. She's one of the best among all the people who came. So they pushed her in, and then some other people went to complain. How can you take somebody who is on national service on a graduate program and a whole lot of things? Then they escalated to very high levels, and then they kicked her out. And that became also stressful. Mr. Henry, they've kicked me out. What do I do? And so on. So it took a lot of counseling for her to calm down and wait for this opportunity at Subika. And to be honest with you, she's done fantastic. And she never knows. Sometimes I don't tell her everything because I check things. And this guy who resigned and went to Indonesia contacted me on LinkedIn. And then we started chatting, and he was telling me a whole lot of stuff about Faustina and how she's working hard and so on. Now, this aggressiveness, Faustina wanted to be the head of ventilation. You can't be 2 years experience and be the head of ventilation. It's not possible. Well, it's possible, but you put yourself at a very deep end because ventilation too has its own challenges. And I know she was down when they brought in an expert to take the role, and you were pushing her, look, take the opportunity and learn from him. And if you want to spend all your life in ventilation, it's good. Learn from him, and then later on you become the head. But is that where you want to go? I've never seen a ventilation engineer become a CEO of a mine. Maybe there are some, but I've never, among my network, I've never seen that. So I was pushing her, diversify. That's the diversification, go into other areas, drill and blast. Then she went in, hey, this is challenging. What do I do? Then I said, I've forgotten most of my apple. I left those areas a long time ago. Let me see what I can do. Then I linked him to Kwesi Achampong, who also gave a presentation. Kwesi is like a deputy underground manager, very, very busy. So then I had to counsel him to, okay, this lady sometimes is aggressive. She wants answers. She wants this. Have patience. Have patience with her and hold her hand and so on. And now I think the process, and then I think Faustina came back to me, my phone has spoiled. I don't know how to contact him. She was nervous and so on. So it's not been very easy, but the good news is she's achieved the goals that she set up for. She wanted to do ventilation, she got it. She wants to do drill and blast. From drill and blast, I know where she's going. I will say it now, but I'm going to push her to go and do business studies. And there's a reason for it. If she wants to be vice president, you cannot afford to be in operations throughout. The industry is changing so much. If you look at the big companies, the multinationals, and you look at the CEOs, they are lawyers, finance people. Recently, Anglo Gold Ashanti employed a CEO who's an economist who has worked in the industry. It's because the technical guys, the mining engineers, geologists, metallurgists, have failed the industry. They don't understand stakeholder expectations. They don't understand how the market works, how the stock exchanges work. So it's only those few technical engineers who have gone into these business studies and mineral economics who are now, they are very hot. Now, I said, I'm taking it easy. I don't want to work full time. I want to just rest. And now the requests coming in is even more than I anticipated because they don't have those skills. I was in New York recently. Why? Because company A wants to acquire company B. There's a lawyer heading company A who is doing all the acquisitions and due diligence and all that. He doesn't understand mining. He doesn't understand the resource statement. He doesn't understand reserves. So how is he going to do the valuation, right? So I was called in to go and hold their hand. And I was in shock about some of the things these lawyers and finance people are doing and so on, because they don't understand and they don't have people in the industry who have those type of expertise. And this is why I'm pushing Messiahs at Sam and Brighter Foom and all those guys, that if you want to be at the top, at the very top, then you have to start learning those skills, management skills. How does stock exchanges work? How do I add value to the company? Now, this guy who was employed at Anglo Gold Ashanti, his first statement is the assets are undervalued. Then the share prices started going up, right? He makes one statement and the share prices start going up. Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. And it's giving justification for why he thinks Anglo Gold Ashanti's assets are undervalued. He hasn't even started the job. He's starting on 1st September and the market has accepted him, right? He's coming from purely economics background, no technical qualification, but he's worked in mines. He's worked with BHP and other mines and so on. So this is why this year I told Abigail we're going to change tactics a little bit and talk about diversification of skills, challenges like what Faustina has done and so on. I looked at the attendance and this is one of the best attendance so far. And I want to emphasize again, we are not forcing anybody to be in this chapter. And that's why there's an interview process. You can be an Alzheimer member, go through a process, but you don't have to belong to the chapter. Because once you sign off to become the chapter, then you have to comply to the rules of what we are doing. If you're not interested, you can just tell Abigail, no, this is too much for me. I want to get out. It's a family, right? It's a family of professional development and so on. So we are not forcing anybody to, I know there have been complaints, especially at KNUST, where people are not even cooperating with these publicity and all that and so on. And I keep on telling Agnes and Keza, just give me a name. I'll kick him out, right? You guys are so soft. In the industry, you cannot be that soft. If I tell you the number of expatriates that are fired in the mines, you'll be shocked. And my sister keeps on telling me, Yebebo, and all that. I'm still alive, right? You cannot be soft in the industry. We are not here to babysit people who are not interested. So if the person is not interested, just give me the name. If you can't do it, I will politely tell him or her, please, we wanted you to be in the family, but we don't think you fit into our rules and obligations and ethics and so on and so forth. We are still friends. If you need help, you can contact me, but you don't belong to this family and so on. So it's not force. Don't wait for Abigail to publish names before you come on. If you think this is too much for you, academic-wise, whatever, just tell her, please, it's too much for me. I cannot come to this webinars and do this A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. So this is, but on the positive side, if you stay and you do this, it can be stressful sometimes, but when you go out, Faustina didn't share all his story. Now, he shared one, that an other member was on the panel. And as soon as he saw, oh, if you've been president before, then you can do this job, right? The person straight away had confidence on the fact that she has competed to become even an Alzheimer president. That was the confidence that this guy had, right? So you never know the opportunities that will come our way. Now, I was contacted to be on the board of a company in the US, and I declined because I want to slow down on travels and so on. So I recommended a guy. The first person that came, is he an Alzheimer member? No. So now I'm telling him, go and apply. And he's trying to apply them. Why? Because when you are a member of these organizations, you have to comply to certain rules, ethics, and so on. And there's a peer review process. Now, if Faustina breaches something, ethics or whatever, there is a panel that I can report to for her to be ejected from OSIM. Recently, I was invited to be on that panel, and we are going through that process and so on. So there is a panel that will look at any complaint. Wisdom was the president. We think Wisdom did A, B, C, D. The complaint will go. Recently, just a few days ago, Wisdom contacted me that the former president has contacted him on LinkedIn to link up. And you see, I could see his email that he was excited, but he wanted to know whether I prompted it and so on. So I gave him advice. Take the opportunity, network. You never know what is coming. This lady is very experienced. And through that network, one day you might end up in the United States or Australia or whatever, and then you can use her as a reference. And Wisdom is very well known in the head office in Melbourne because he was constantly on their neck. I want to register OSIM on LinkedIn. I want to do this on this. I want to know this. I want to know the chapters and all that and so on. And anytime I ask them, who is this guy Wisdom? He is so passionate about OSIM. And these are the people we need in the OSIM family. Very, very passionate. He takes it very personal, emotional, and wants things done for the chapter. Same with other Faustina and Theophilus and all that and so on. So I'm very glad that Faustina has shared a story. Next time it could be any of you. So keep pushing, and then hopefully we'll meet, God willing, we'll meet some of you at KNUST on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. To Miss Faustina, we are very, very grateful for a wonderful presentation. And Mr. Henry, we are grateful for the advice given. Our moderator is having technical issues, so she's off. So we will take the closing remarks from our ex-president, Mr. Wisdom Eduna.
Thanks a lot, Abigail, for the opportunity. But before I come in, I saw the presence of Dr. Fumen, Mr. Engineer Sam. So maybe they would want to also share something with us, then I could come in.
Okay, I think from our end, Mr. Henry Entry has said it all. You know, it's anytime I listen to him, it's like he lifts my spirit to the next level, and we are so much grateful. And Faustina too, thanks for sharing your experience, and keep up the good work. And the ladies in the room, these are some of the mentors that you could start picking up, and they will tell you the current situation and how to handle certain opportunities or anything that comes your way. So thanks so much, and thanks everyone for your time.
Okay, thanks a lot, Say. So greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Eventually, we've reached the end of today's webinar, which is dubbed My Career Experiences and Challenges by Ms. Faustina Amadiok, the second OSIM TAQUA Students Chapter President. Please, may I believe we've taken a lot of wisdom from her speech, and honestly speaking, there is a lot for us to reflect on. Finally, on behalf of us, I would want to express our appreciation to the OSIM TAQUA management, Sir Henry Entry, Dr. Brighter Fullman, Dr. Kwesi Ampofo, as well as the alumni and industry professionals of the OSIM student chapter. Thanks also to all participants present for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend today's webinar. Many thanks to the OSIM Takwa present administration, which is spearheaded by Abigail Ado, a student mining engineer, for a fantastic webinar held this evening. I would like to close my remarks by sharing with us an interesting axiom I always live with, which says that every day is an education and the people we meet are our teachers. And there is nowhere we are going that people haven't been there before. And I always say to myself that may God help us meet our giants who will keep on monitoring us until we reach the top. Thanks so much for your attention. Wisdom.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Please, before we end the session, let's take these few announcements. Our conference come on this Saturday, 24th of July, 2021. And it was supposed to be a seminar initially, but due to the high interest shown by the students, the headquarters have recommended a conference instead. So this is going to be the 5th edition of the OSIM TAPA annual conference, and the first to be held at KNUST. So some of the students, together with the executive, will be leaving here on Friday to go for the conference. After the ceremony, after this seminar, we will leave the flyer, and we plead with you people to help in the publicity, share them on your statuses, any platform you find yourself in, especially those in KNUST. So that is where we are heading to the conference. So this is the few changes that has been made in the upcoming conference. Thank you so much for your presence, and we will have our last webinar on the webinar series in August. And after that, we'll be free to learn for our examinations and everything. So thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you so much for your understanding. I wish you all a wonderful evening. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Hey,